Well, checking the mic levels. Well, my first question is, which God is going to save your king? You don't specify. You don't say Jesus. You don't say the name of any other. All these gods have names. God's just a title. So my question is, which God is going to save your king and your country? Lucifer, perhaps? I think that's closer to the answer. And if you are talking about the God of the Bible, I don't think he's saving you. I think he got other plans. I think he got the reverse for you, England. I think he's going to let your enemies destroy you. That's my personal belief. Before I begin, I want to mention two things. First, I want you to look at this. See this? Every one of you watching me know what this is. This is probably one of the most important. Remember what happened during the pandemic? And I'm not trying to argue whether it was a real pandemic or not. They're beginning to start the bullshit now, talking about, what is it? They're beginning again, round two. They're beginning it again, round two. I just seen it real quick. A new variant. A new variant of COVID's coming. So get ready for round two. And it doesn't matter if it's real or not, but do you remember the chaos, the craziness that was going on just to get yourself a few rolls of these? Do you remember? Did you forget already? People killing each other over toilet paper and paper towels? Entitled pieces of shit with enough money, probably connections, going into the store, taking pallet loads of fucking toilet paper. Me, if I was one of you cattle, sheeple out there, I would have bum rushed the motherfucker trying to take all the toilet paper, and I would have stole as much of it as I could. And I'm sure that happened. Why are you talking about toilet paper, Illuminati God? I want you to take a good look at this toilet paper right here. Take a good look. $2 holla holla. Do you believe $2? I believe $2. Paper used to wipe my ass after I take a dump. One roll, $2. And this is a name brand. I took the name brand off for obvious reasons. Let's just say it starts with an S. And before you say, oh, Illuminati God, you could have got yourself a generic, cheaper toilet paper. No, you know why? Because the generic, cheaper toilet paper was $1.50 at my local convenience store run by Hindus. So obviously, I'm going to pay the extra 50 cents to get the one that has more freaking sheets on the roll. Duh. Plus, I know this is septic safe. But anyway, this is a small example of how we're getting fucked. I don't know about your neck of the woods, but in my neck of the woods, this is what's going on. $2 toilet paper. That's what's going on over here. I bet some places it's $3 or $4 for a roll. This is fucking ridiculous. Oh boy. And that's just the beginning. That's just the fucking beginning. Okay. This is very interesting. Someone very close to me was kind enough to send this to me. They work at a hotel, and you know that these hotels, rent out to groups and organizations for their conferences and stuff, right? So they thought that this was pretty important, and they sent me this. I want you to take a good look at this, especially if you're black American. What some of you call yourselves Afro-American. I want you to take a good look at this, because this ain't good for you. This ain't good for you. Try to get a good shot of it. Melanated moms. You read that? Let me try to get a better. This is a pin that we're giving out recently to some sort of meeting that was going on. I don't think it's coming out very good. Let me move back a little bit. Motherhood is the motivation, it says. Melanated moms, motherhood is the motivation. Why are you showing us that, Hollywood? What does that have to do with the New World Order? Well, I'm going to tell you in a minute. Melanin. Okay, here we go. You ready? Huh. It looks like I was here before. Okay. Melanin is a family of biomolecules organized as oligomers or polymers, which, among other functions, provide the pigments of many organisms. Melanin pigments are produced in a specialized group of cells known as melanocytes. Okay? Melanin, let me see. Trying to get, please bear with me, because this is some complicated shit. Humans. Okay. In humans, melanin is the primary determinant of skin color. Listen up, those of you who say that eugenics is dead and it's not going on anymore. Bullshit, it sure is. Listen up. You thought it was dead since the defeat of the National Socialists? Nope. It's just taking a different form. It's still being here. In humans, melanin is the primary determinant of skin color. It is also found in hair, the pigmented tissue underlying the iris of the eye, and the sclera vascularis of the inner ear. In the brain, tissues with melanin include the medulla, the pigment-bearing neurons with areas of the brain stem, such as the locus coeruleus. It also occurs in the zona reticularis of the adrenal gland. The melanin in the skin is produced by melanocytes, which are found in the basal layer of the epidermis. Although in general human beings possesses a similar concentration of melanocytes in their skin, the melanocytes in some individuals and ethnic groups produce variable amounts of melanin. Are you listening? The ratio of eumelanin, or eumelanin, 74%, and pheomelanin, 26%, in the epidermis is constant regardless of the degree of pigmentation. Some humans have very little or no melanin synthesis in their bodies, a condition known as albinism. And in case you don't know, translated white. Listen up. Because melanin is an aggregate of smaller component molecules, there are many different types of melanin with different proportions and bonding patterns of these component molecules. Both pheomelanin and eumelanin are found in human skin and hair, but eumelanin is the most abundant melanin in humans, as well as the form most likely to be deficient in albinism. Okay. So I don't want to bore you with that shit, but you get the idea. Now, back in the 1920s and 30s, can't get away from these Nazis, can't get away from the National Socialists. That's why a wise man once said study the past. Because if you study the past, you realize there's nothing new under the sun. Back in the 20s and 30s, during eugenics, the science, the so-called science, pseudo-science, if you ask me, that the Germans practiced, there was a lot of talk about the pineal gland. The pineal gland. The pineal gland in the white race. The pineal gland in the Aryan race. The pineal gland, the pineal gland. And you know what they were saying? That the pineal gland was the third eye. It was the third eye. What's the third eye, you might be asking? Check it out. Pineal gland, third eye. The pineal gland, located deep within the brain, is sometimes referred to as the third eye due to its historical and spiritual significance. In ancient civilizations, look, they're still treating this as if it's fact. It's bullshit. Never really been proven. It's mystical mumbo jumbo. But here we go. In ancient civilizations, the pineal gland was believed to be a mystical eye that could perceive spiritual truth and insights beyond the physical world. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the third eye is associated with enlightenment and intuition. New Age beliefs often portray the pineal gland as dormant potential that can be activated through meditation, yoga, or other spiritual practices. Scientific understanding. The pineal gland is a small endocrine gland that produces melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep-wake cycles. In a sensitive, and don't get it confused with melanin. Melanin is one thing. This is melatonin, okay? It is sensitive to light and plays a role in circadian rhythms. There is no scientific evidence to support the claims made about the pineal gland as a third eye. Oh, finally the truth. or its ability to provide spiritual insights. While the pineal gland has historical and spiritual significance as the third eye, it is important to note that this is a metaphorical interpretation from a scientific perspective. The pineal gland is an endocrine gland with a well-defined physiological function. Now, let me add one thing to this. And this is why this is important. Let me see if I can find it. I love it how you can find something on Google, but then you have to... Oh, wait a minute. Where is it? Come on, come on. Oh, let me see. I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. 4150. Let's see. 4150. Forty-one. Okay. Oh boy. Trying to find it here, y'all. I'm trying to find it. I found what I was looking for, but then I went to the website to find it. And of course, they don't take you exactly to where you're looking for. Has to be in 41. Has to be in 41. Okay, check it out. Ready for this? We're talking about the pineal gland now. All right? Each root race is seen by Blavatsky. Who's that, Madame Blavatsky? Oh, you better ask somebody. You better do some research on this bitch. She was made an honorary Freemason, and she inspired a lot of the ideology of Hitler and the Nazis, the National Socialists. So you better find out about Madame Blavatsky. Each root race is seen by Blavatsky as being constituted differently in a physical and spiritual sense. In the earliest times, man was purely spirit. Then at some point in time, the spirit entered an animated physical matter. Man thus evolved, in Blavatsky's cosmology, from the ethereal to the material. The original spirituality of man can be seen, according to Blavatsky, in the fact that mankind once was endowed with psychic powers, which she attributed to the so-called Cyclopean eye. With the Cyclopean eye, man had spiritual sight, the ability that as man evolved materially and intellectually, this third eye atrophied to what is now the pineal gland, and man mostly lost his psychic powers. But, stated Blavatsky, mankind is destined to regain these abilities. That Hitler was well versed in these racial peculiarities is demonstrated in one of Hermann Röschnig's conversations with Hitler. The pursuit of the random path of the intelligence, we learned, was the real defection of man from his divine mission to have magical insight, was apparently Hitler's idea of the goal of human progress. He himself felt that he already had the rudiments of this gift. He attributed to it his successes and his future eminence. A savant of Munich had also written some curious stuff about the prehistoric world, about forms of perception and supernatural powers. There was the eye of Cyclops, or Midian eye. the organ of magic perception of the infinite, now reduced to a rudimentary pineal gland. Speculations of this sort fascinated Hitler. He would sometimes be entirely wrapped up in them. He saw his own remarkable career as a confirmation of hidden powers. He saw himself as chosen for superhuman tasks, as the prophet of the rebirth of man in a new form. Might this new form of man of Hitler's, be related to Blavatsky's root race schema? She maintained that the 6th and 7th root races would witness a return to the earlier spiritual state of existence. Man could once again have spiritual insight and be at one with the forces of nature. According to Hitler, creation is not yet at an end. Man has clearly arrived at a turning point. A new variety of man is beginning to separate out. Hitler further believed that mankind would evolve into 2 distinct types. Listen up. The 2 types will rapidly diverge from one another. One will sink to a subhuman race, and the other rise far above the man of today. I might call the 2 varieties the God-man and the mass animal. The new godlike Aryan would rule over the inferior races, the mass animal. To Hitler, it was the divine mission of the Nazis, National Socialists, movement to bring this about. Those who see in National Socialism, listen to this. He said this numerous times, I'm about to quote. This is Hitler. Those who see in National Socialism, Nazism, nothing more than a political movement, know scarcely anything of it. It is more even than a religion. Let me repeat that part. National Socialism, Nazism, is more even than a religion. It is the will to create mankind anew. To accomplish this, Hitler believed that the Nazi movement must return the Aryan to his original state. For example, oneness with Volk, herd instinct, racial purity, and inner spirituality. If the Nazi movement was to lead the Aryan race, and that includes the Anglo-Saxon British pieces of shit, back to its purest form, it must, Hitler felt, eliminate those factors that caused it to stray in the first place. These are the intellect, egoism, materialism, and impurity of blood. The existence of these elements was not in Hitler's mind an accident of Aryan evolution, but the result of the conspiratorial actions of the Jew. And you think what's going on in Israel, Palestine right now, you think that the genocide going on over there has nothing to do with what Hitler was doing in the past. You're an idiot. You're a fool. You are dumb as hell. Now, what does this have to do with melanin? Has everything to do with melanin. The same way they're using the melanin to say some people got it and other people don't. Okay? They're making something, it's all about race. They're again bringing about this racial differences between the peoples. So, as Blavatsky and Hitler was using the pineal gland, the third eye. Before I forget, they were teaching, Hitler at least, was teaching that only the Aryan man, the Anglo-Saxon Aryan, had the pineal gland. All the inferior races didn't. Okay? What are they talking in melanin? Only the black, only darker skinned peoples. The darker the skin, the more melanin you got. The whiter you are, the less you have. And if you're an albino, you have none. See? That's what I mean. Eugenics is still being practiced. You people, you blacks out there. Let me get back so I can see what I'm doing. You're in danger. You are in danger. You're being indoctrinated into eugenics. The ultimate goal is to do away with races. What they want is a slave race, consistent, mixed, of one consistent, particular mixture. To get to that point, they have to have the races opposing each other, fighting each other, killing each other. Then they come in with the solution, new rules and regulations and laws, where they're going to force you to be with people. Now, there are plenty of motherfuckers right now that are all for that. And if you are making that decision, that's fine. I got no problem with that. I'm not talking about people who fall in love with each other and cohabitate with each other and have mixed children. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about forcing people or eliminating certain groups and having laws and regulations like the Nazis did. Oh my God, I can't have one day of peace and quiet, not even on a goddamn Saturday. Forgot my train of thought. They have goals. In Nazi Germany, it was to exterminate what they called subhumans, inferior races. That didn't work. So what are they doing now? They're going to create laws and regulations forcing different races to procreate with each other. And God forbid you ain't down with it. God forbid you're a white person who wants to just, be with white people. You're going to die. God forbid you're a black person who don't want to mix with white people. They're going to kill you too. You see, if they can't get one extreme, they'll get the other extreme. It doesn't matter. Because ultimately, they're still in control. Because they keep their families and race pure. They don't give a shit. And if you can't tell the difference between what they're doing now through the media, through books, through films, it's happening right now. They're calling it diversity. If you can't tell that it's the same form of slavery, then you're a fucking fool. You're an idiot. It's the same damn shit. And if you oppose it, you're going to be exterminated. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, let me see. So I strayed off the path, but I just, when I seen this, I was like, oh shit, I got to talk about this shit. All right, I'm gonna keep this page. I'm gonna keep this page open. This is very interesting stuff. And this I got from a website called Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles. The article is called Hitler's Racial Ideology, Content and Occult Sources. And the melanin shit is also being used by occult groups to say that melanin is what makes the black race superior. You see, I'm not going to say that what the Nazis were teaching was wrong, and then say that what the blacks, a lot of black people believe in, is okay. No, they're both wrong. They're both wrong. Just like the pineal gland and being an Aryan white didn't make them superior and godly, because that's what they taught. Having melanin and being black doesn't make you superior or a god either. Let's get this clear. I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again. No man living or dead is or ever was God. If you believe that man is God, you are sick. You are a sick puppy, as that character in South Park said to the students one time. You're sick. And I don't care what group you're a part of, what organization, what fraternity, what clique, what gang. What did I say yesterday? You can tell it's the mystery religion of Babylon from three things. These three common denominators, no matter what the group calls itself, no matter if it's a white group, a black group, or groups in between, they believe in three specific things. Racism, man being God, the divinity of man, and sex. These three things are important when you realize, no matter what group it is, if you're in Mormonism and you notice these three things, it's the mystery religion of Babylon. Jehovah's Witnesses also, you might be wondering how. I'm going to go through Jehovah's Witnesses one day because it's more complicated. So I got to get my research together. But wait till you find out how the Jehovah's Witnesses do the same damn shit. Scientology, same damn shit. All these particular race hate groups that exist, same damn shit. What's going on with the UFO community? Oh, what's all this talk about the aliens coming and taking sperm and ovum from their captives, from their abductions? Eugenics is still being practiced on us. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's still here. Black people, Hispanic people, you are in danger of being exterminated. Having all the races mix with each other is it's the same exact thing as exterminating the race you're killing you. It's the same shit. They want a people which they can control, who at the intellectual level, who want to bring them down intellectually to the level of mindless beast. They want to train you the way they train lions in a circus or monkeys. And they believe by mixing the people together, lowering them mentally, intellectually, they'll have more control. There are many various ways they can do this. You've been warned. You've been warned. I'm warning everybody. I'm warning the whites. I'm warning the white people. I'm warning the black people and everybody in between. I'm warning all of you. They want to do away with racial differences. They want to do away with cultural differences. They want a slave race. that they can dominate. And it doesn't matter if they call themselves the master race. Doesn't matter if they call themselves the chosen people. Think about it. Master race, chosen people, same damn shit. Same damn shit. Keep an eye out on what's going on in Palestine. The genocide going on with those Palestinians. Because it's coming to the United Snakes next. I said it. Okay. So I don't know how far we're going to get into this. But I decided I'm going to start this. And we'll get as far as I can. I'll stop at 12:30. Okay. I mentioned something on a previous video, yesterday's video, matter of fact, called British Israelism. Over here in the United States, it's called Christian identity, but it's the same damn shit. So I'm going to get into it more so you can understand. The Jewish conspiracy is British imperialism. And I give credit where credit is due when I find something online. This was written by or typed by a person by the name, the author is Henry Macau, PhD. And I really don't know if he's a real PhD or not. People call themselves stuff online, and you don't know. You never really know if they're lying or not. So take that with a grain of salt. Oh, see, I keep forgetting to do this. Conspiracy theorists, that would be me and any of you watching who agree with me, like myself, believe modern history reflects a long-term conspiracy by an international financial elite to enslave humanity. Like blind men examining an elephant, we attribute this conspiracy to Jews, Illuminati, Vatican, Jesuits, Freemasons, black nobility, and Bilderbergs, etc. Like blind men examining an elephant. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we read that already. The real villains are at the heart of our economic and cultural life. And let me just stop there and say, I understand what this person is saying, but, okay, those other groups and names that he mentions are all just various different attributes, or what's that called, aliases for the same shit. So don't think that what he's saying is none of those groups he mentioned are not involved. What you have to understand is this cabal uses these different names or these different organizations, to get their work done. They're aliases. They're all aliases for the same organization. The real villains are at the heart of our economic and cultural life. They are the dynastic families who own the Bank of England, the U.S. Federal Reserve, and associated cartels. They also control the World Bank and IMF. Their identity is kept secret, but Rothschild is certainly one of them. England is, in fact, a financial oligarchy run by the Crown, which refers to the city of London, not the Queen, or the King for that matter. The city is run by the Bank of England, a private corporation. The city is a sovereign state located in the heart of Greater London, considered the Vatican of the financial world. The city is not subject to British law. On the contrary, the Bank of England dictates to the British Parliament. In 1886, Andrew Carnegie wrote that 6 or 7 men can plunge the nation into war without consulting Parliament at all. Vincent Vickers, a director of the Bank of England from 1910 through 1919, blamed the city for the wars of the world. The British Empire was an extension of bankers' financial interests. Indeed, all the non-white colonies, India, Hong Kong, Gibraltar, were crowned colonies. They belonged to the city and were not subject to British law, although Englishmen were expected to conquer and pay for them. The Bank of England assumed control of the United States during the T.R. Roosevelt administration, 1901 through 1909, when its agent, J.P. Morgan, took over 25% of American business. According to the American Almanac, the bankers are part of a network called the Club of the Isles, which is an informal association of European royalty, including the Queen, now the King. The Club of the Isles commands an estimated 10 trillion in assets. Its lords over such corporate giants as Royal Dutch Shell, Imperial Chemical Industries, Lloyd's of London, Unilever, Lonrho, Rio Tinto Zinc, and Anglo-American De Beers. It dominates the world supply of petroleum, gold, diamonds, and many other vital raw materials, and deploys these assets not merely in the pursuit of its geopolitical agenda. Its goal to reduce the human population from its current level of over 5 billion people to below 1 billion people within the next 2 to 3 generations. To literally cull the human herd. In the interest of retaining their own global power and the feudal system upon which that power is based. Historian Jeffrey Steinberg could be referring to the US, Canada, and Australia when he writes, England, Scotland, Wales, and especially Northern Ireland are today little more than slave plantations and social engineering laboratories serving the needs of the City of London. These families constitute a financier oligarchy. They are the power behind the Windsor's throne. They view themselves as the heirs to the Venetian oligarchy, which infiltrated and subverted England from the period 1509 through 1715 and established a new, more virulent Anglo-Dutch Swiss strain of the oligarchic system of imperial Babylon, Persia, Rome, and Byzantium. What I've been saying all this time. The City of London dominates the world's speculative markets. A tightly interlocking group of corporations involved in raw materials extraction, finance, insurance, transportation, and food production controls the lion's share of the world market, and exerts virtual choke point control over world industry. Steinberg belongs to a group of historians associated with economist Lyndon LaRouche. They have traced this scourge to the migration of the Venetian mercantile oligarchy to England more than 300 years ago. Although the LaRouche historians do not say so, it appears that many members of this oligarchy were Jews. Cecil Roth writes, the trade of Venice was overwhelmingly concentrated in the hands of the Jews, the wealthiest of the mercantile class. The Jewish banking families made it a practice to marry their female offspring to spendthrift European aristocrats. Are you listening? Are you listening? They're like locusts. They're like locusts. They go from one place to another place. They're like the thing. It goes into one body, changes that body, becomes that body, goes into the next body, and they use race and religion as a means to do this. They use that Bible that you cling to so much to control you, to get their dirt done. You better read Genesis again. When it talks about God making man in his own image, it ain't talking about you and me. They believe it's talking about them, the master race, the chosen people. In Genesis, there are two creations. One made in the image of God, which they believe that's them, and the other one made from the earth. That's you and me, the cattle. I'm not saying that this is true. I'm just telling you what they believe to be true. And they're using your own damn Bible to control you. Let me read that again, goddamn me. The Jewish banking families made it a practice to marry their female, and remember, according to them, you're not a Jew unless you're born from a female Jew. If your dad's a Jew, if the father is a Jew, and he has children with a non-Jew, a Gentile, Goyim, the offspring is not considered Jewish in their religion. The mother, for you to claim to be a Jew, the mother must be a Jew. That's why they gave out. That's why they gave out their females to the aristocrats in Britain, the British aristocrats. The Jewish banking families made it a practice to marry their female offspring to spendthrift European aristocrats. In Jewish law, the mixed offspring of a Jewish mother is Jewish. Let me read it again. In Jewish law, the mixed offspring of a Jewish mother is Jewish. The male hires always marry Jews. The daughter of Jewish banker Ernest Cassill married Lord Louis Mountbatten, who was related to Queen Victoria and Prince Philip. If they aren't already Jewish by intermarriage, many European aristocrats consider themselves descendants of the biblical Hebrews. The Habsburgs are related by marriage to the Merovingians, who claim to be descendants of the tribe of Benjamin. In addition, many aristocrats belong to the British Israel movement that believes the Anglo-Saxon races are the lost tribes of Israel and Jesus was King of England. Now, if you're an English person and you heard this for the first time and you don't believe it, I don't blame you. It's a hard pill to swallow. And it doesn't matter if you, as a citizen of London, England, of England in general, the UK, believe it or not. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. The powers that be that run you and your country, your overlords, they believe it. And whatever they decide to do based on their belief is going to affect you. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it or not. They got the power. They got the control. Those Israelis murdering Palestinians right now, they're doing their job well. They're taking orders. They're doing what they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Just like the Nazis were doing what they were ordered to do. If it doesn't look any different, it's because it's not different. What Israel is doing to the Palestinian is not different at all to what the Germans were doing to the so-called Jews in Europe. It's the same shit. It's the same shit because at the top, it's the same goddamn group that's running things. Oh, boy. According to Barbara Aho, Rosicrucians and Freemasons who believe in British Israelism, see how all these different groups are intertwined with each other. You could be a Freemason, but you can also be a Rosicrucian. Who believe in British Israelism have a plan to place one of their bloodline on the throne of the rebuilt temple in Jerusalem. This positioning of a false Messiah whom the world will worship as Christ has been carefully planned and executed over many centuries. You better go rewatch that Lion King movie. You better go rewatch The Lion King. I didn't see the live action, but you go watch. Whatever version you go watch, you better watch it and understand what it's telling you. Watch that Lion King. Find out who that lion represents. According to Barry Shamish, there would be no modern state of Israel without British Freemasonry. Let me say it again. According to Barry Shamish, there would be no modern state of Israel without British Freemasonry. In the 1860s, the British Israelite movement was initiated from within Freemasonry. Its goal was to establish a Jewish Masonic state in the Turkish province of Palestine. Its goal, I'm reading it again, its goal was to establish a Jewish Masonic state in the Turkish province of Palestine. Initially, British Jewish Masonic families like the Rothschilds and the Montefiore's provided the capital to build the infrastructure for the anticipated wave of immigration. However, luring the Jews to Israel was proving difficult. Better listen up. They simply liked European life too much to abandon it. So Europe was to be turned into a nightmare for the Jews. I got to get a bottle of water. And you think what's going on in the world is not connected. You think it's all by coincidence. You know what? A lot of you out there deserve your fate. You really do. You do deserve your fate. You really do. You deserve to be eliminated. You're so stupid. Everything that happens in history is just a coincidence. These dictators, these rulers, these kings, these demigods, these gurus who just show up on the scene, make themselves. Oh my God. You're so dumb. You're so blind, deaf, and dumb. Why do I even bother? Well, like I said yesterday, this channel is for me to get stuff off of my chest. Oh, looks like the few viewers I had left. What did Nicholson say in that movie? You can't handle the truth. You better believe it. Y'all want to live in a fantasy world. Well, I'm alive. I'm not going to live in the fantasy world. Conclusion. I wasted much of my life getting a conventional education, so I feel I am beginning my education anew. It appears that a vampire-like clique directs the world. This secretive cabal is represented by our dominant political, economic, and cultural institutions. That's right. And it doesn't matter if it's Biden as the president, doesn't matter if it's Trump, doesn't matter whoever it is that becomes president next. They're all controlled by this cabal. You're going to get screwed one way or the other. No matter who wins, we lose. Western society has been subverted and Western culture is bankrupt. Democracy is a form of social control, and the mass media and education are forms of indoctrination. Essentially, the problem boils down to whether we believe man was made in God's image and has an obligation to lift himself to a higher level of truth, beauty, and justice. Naturally, monopolists have no use for this and want to define reality to suit their own interests. They have taught us that God is dead and man is defined by physical rather than spiritual appetites. Culture today tends to deny standards, ideals, and goals of any kind. We are fed an endless diet of trivia and debauchery. Certain Jews are an integral part of this elite neo-feudal conspiracy. Let me read this again. Certain Jews are an integral part of this elite neo-feudal conspiracy. Throughout history, they have had a symbiotic, what does that mean? Venom. You know Venom in his movies? Venom, Spider-Man's enemy, Venom, is a symbiote. But he shares an existence with Eddie Brock, doesn't he? They're two, but in one form, right? That's what symbiotic means. What did Qui-Gon Jinn teach Anakin about midichlorians? That they share a symbiotic relationship. One can't exist without the other. Throughout history, they have had a symbiotic relationship with the aristocracy. But ordinary Jews like the serfs were manipulated and persecuted by their leaders. Isn't that the truth? We're always manipulated and persecuted by whatever leader we follow. True Judaism, like Islam and Christianity, affirms the supremacy of God as a moral force. A real Jew, like a true Christian or Muslim, cannot perform an immoral act. It's time to reaffirm our belief in God. And here's some information about the author, Henry Mackau. Henry Mackau, PhD, is the inventor of the board game Scruples and the author of A Long Way to Go for a Date. His articles exposing feminism and the New World Order can be found at his website, and I'm not sure if this website's still around, but you can go and check, www.savethemales.ca. Let me repeat that website again, www.savethemales.ca. And here's the http://www.savethemales.ca/. He welcomes feedback at henry@savethemales.ca. Indicated if you do not want your message posted. All posts are anonymous. And as I said, I don't know if that website is still functioning, if it's still around, because this was published a while ago. Okay, I'm going to stop there because this is a lot of information to swallow. What is this? Let me see. Okay, yeah. I'll continue, hopefully tomorrow. Which I doubt. Maybe tomorrow night. Yeah, maybe tomorrow afternoon, maybe tomorrow night, or maybe the next day. I don't know. But we will finish this. This is mandatory education. Okay. Till next time. Peace.